It's recap time. 3, 2. Hey, quick interruption, Future Chip here. If you're coming from the previous video and you already know the drill, you can skip directly to the recap. Otherwise, if this is your first time, I'll let you with the intro and enjoy the episode. 1. Hello everybody and welcome to the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host Chip and this is not my usual intro. This is a bit of a special episode. Unfortunately, I will be away for a few days and I found out this interesting way of filling the gaps with recaps from previous episodes. If this is your first time here, use it as an opportunity to find topics that you might be interested in and go back to listen to the original ones. If you are a usual listener of the Shower Podcast, well, again, this might be a rehearsal of topics that you might be interested in. Otherwise, I understand if you want to wait for me to be back. But in the meanwhile, the podcast needs to continue and we need to reach day 365. Having said that, I will not keep you longer. Thank you very much for listening. As always, a like and a subscribe. They are always welcome. And now, recap time.
Welcome, everyone, to a special deep dive we've put together just for you.
Yeah, today we're unpacking a really interesting collection of recent thoughts from Chip over on his Shower Podcast.
Exactly. So if you're already a listener, fantastic. Think of this as the highlights reel.
And if not, but any of these ideas grab you, well, you can always check out the original episodes. This is sort of your quick guide.
We're hitting 5 key explorations he's done recently.
That's right. We'll touch on this idea of not being special, then passion in the age of algorithms, the sort of paradox of knowledge.
Embracing your inner child, which sounds fun.
Yeah. And finally, the lies we tell ourselves. It's quite a mix.
It really is. Okay, so let's just jump right in. First up is episode 51, You're Not That Special. What's the core idea here?
Well, Chip really tackles this head on. He starts by saying basically that he doesn't think he's special, and probably most of us aren't either, not in the way we tend to use that word.
Okay, that's quite a statement to kick things off.
It is, yeah. He clarifies, that truly special people exist, people who do extraordinary things, but the word itself has become a bit diluted, maybe, overused.
Right. And he uses an example, doesn't he?
He does. PewDiePie's 365-day drawing progress video. Chip was apparently really struck by the whole process shown there.
I think I remember seeing something about that. You see the journey, right?
Exactly. The initial burst of progress, which we all kind of get when starting something new.
Yeah, the beginner gains.
Right. But then the plateaus, those times when it feels like you're stuck. He mentions that pattern comes up again later, actually.
Interesting. And what was his point about PewDiePie specifically?
Well, even with his huge success, PewDiePie seemed genuinely grateful for the support on this personal project, and Chip contrasts that with the reality that, someone else could do the exact same thing.
Put in all that effort.
And get basically zero recognition. It's a bit of a tough pill to swallow, maybe.
Yeah, it highlights the luck factor, doesn't it? Or timing, or just circumstance.
It does. So Chip asks, should we reject this whole idea of needing to be special, or just accept that outcomes can be wildly different even for similar work?
And what's his take?
He argues pretty strongly that nobody, not even PewDiePie in this context, is inherently special or gifted in a way that means they're doing something utterly unique that no one else could do.
So it's more about the process.
Exactly. It's about doing something that theoretically anyone can do if they're genuinely interested in the process itself, not just the outcome or the label.
Okay, that makes sense. It shifts the focus inward.
Right. And he's quite critical of people who give up quickly if they don't get that immediate recognition.
Suggesting their motivation might be more about external validation.
Yeah, maybe they're chasing the special feeling rather than enjoying the actual work or learning.
And he connects this to his own experience.
He does. He's pretty open about his podcast, often having very low viewership numbers.
Yeah.
But he keeps going because he believes in the ideas, he enjoys doing it, and he gets personal benefit from it. That's enough for him.
That's a powerful point. It's not about the audience size, it's the internal drive.
Precisely. And he even extends this logic to relationships. Suggesting we should just be ourselves authentically and find people who appreciate that rather than trying to perform or be some kind of special version of ourselves to feel like we deserve connection or love.
Be you, and the right people will connect.
Kind of, yeah. Consistency and genuine enjoyment, he thinks, are what ultimately matter and might attract interest naturally, but the focus should be internal.
Okay, that's a really solid foundation. So moving on from specialness, he then turns to passion in the next episode, number 52. What's your passion?
Yeah, and again, he starts quite directly asking you, the listener, what's your passion? Do you actually have one?
Making you think right away.
Definitely. He talks about how passions used to develop maybe more traditionally through like ingrained habits or your environment. Maybe you worked at a gym and got into fitness or family influence.
Those seem like pretty organic ways, often unfolding over time.
Right. But then he introduces this third, very modern pathway, online discovery through algorithms.
Ah, the recommendation engine rabbit hole.
Exactly. And, on one hand, these algorithms can connect us with things we genuinely end up loving. That's undeniable.
Sure, you stumble across a video or an article?
But Chip points out the other side. These algorithms are fundamentally built to keep us on the platform, to keep us engaged, keep us scrolling.
Right. Their goal isn't necessarily deep, meaningful connection with a topic.
Not primarily, no. And this can lead to this sort of rapid fire, maybe superficial exposure to tons of different things.
Like passion sampling.
Kind of. You get a little taste of something. It seems cool. Maybe you watch a few videos. But then the algorithm serves up the next shiny object, and that initial interest just fades away. It never really takes root.
Because there wasn't that deeper investment of time or effort.
Exactly. And Chip really emphasizes the difference between that kind of fleeting, algorithm-driven interest and what he considers genuine passion.
Which requires
time, dedication, self-assessment. Actually, putting in the work and accepting you won't be good at first.
He uses his own examples again here, right?
Yeah, things like racket sports and STEM topics, things he's been consistently interested in and engaged with over a long period. They've endured. He contrasts that with something like, say, chess. He might watch videos, find it interesting.
Appreciate the skill.
Sure, but he acknowledges he doesn't have deep knowledge or commitment. It's a casual interest, not a passion, in his view.
Okay. And this leads him to a point of frustration.
A little bit, yeah. He gets frustrated with people who maybe consume a tiny bit of online content on a subject and then present themselves as experts or, deeply passionate about it.
That gap between curated online image and actual deep engagement.
Right. He tells a story about a friend who got really into drawing after seeing stuff online, spurred by algorithms, and immediately wanted to be this amazing artist overnight.
Skipping the messy middle part.
Exactly. That disconnect between seeing the perfect final product online and understanding the often difficult reality of the learning process.
So true passion, for Chip, involves embracing being bad at the start.
Yes. Accepting that process, persevering through the initial difficulties. He says enjoying what you have is good, but growing a passion often means pushing through that discomfort.
Okay, that links back nicely to the idea of process over just outcome from the first episode.
It does. There's a definite theme emerging about internal motivation and embracing the journey.
All right, so next up, episode 53. Chip explores something that sounds counterintuitive. Knowledge is a curse. What's going on there?
Yeah, the title grabs you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He actually starts it off joking about his hair after washing it, then dives in.
Okay.
The core idea relates to that old philosophical notion, like Socrates maybe, knowing of not knowing, recognizing just how vast the ocean of things we don't know actually is.
Right, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. But Chip flips it for the modern age. He argues that now, with easy access to basically all the knowledge that humankind has in our pocket,
On our phones, yeah.
the challenge isn't finding information or knowing what to do. The real challenge is putting ourselves in the condition to do it.
So the knowledge itself isn't the barrier, it's something else.
It's the overload of knowledge that can become the barrier. It leads to what people call analysis paralysis.
Right, too many options, too much information, you just freeze.
Yeah, you get stressed trying to figure out what to learn first, which source to trust, how to implement it perfectly, and you end up doing nothing.
Does he give an example for this one too?
He does, a very relatable one. Procrastinating on exercise while recovering from an injury.
They've been there?
Right. He says he knows the basic principles, move more, eat reasonably well, but he gets totally bogged down overthinking the perfect workout schedule, the optimal stretches, the exact recovery plan.
Yeah, and the overthinking stops him from just doing something simple.
Exactly. It's like knowing too much prevents action. He says he almost envies people with what he calls blessed ignorance.
People who just get on with things without overanalyzing.
Sort of, yeah. Maybe they live simpler, more fulfilled lives because they're not constantly dissecting every choice with infinite information.
So sometimes, not knowing every single detail can actually be freeing. It prevents that paralysis.
That's his suggestion. Maybe we shouldn't try to absorb excessive knowledge before we actually need it for a specific task.
Trust the process of figuring things out as you go.
Yeah, and it's okay to guess sometimes, to learn through trial and error, rather than needing the definitive answer up front for everything.
That's interesting. He also mentioned something about problem solving.
Right. If we get too used to having answers instantly available, does that hinder our ability to actually think for ourselves and find our own solutions when we face genuinely complex, novel problems where there isn't a simple answer waiting?
A potential downside of constant connectivity and easy answers.
Yeah. So the takeaway seems to be doing something imperfectly now and then correcting which might actually be better in the long run than being stuck trying to find the perfect knowledge beforehand. Learn by doing.
Okay, that's a fascinating counterpoint to the usual knowledge is power idea. Right, let's shift gears again. Episode 54 sounds lighter. Be a kid.
It is definitely a shift in tone. Chip talks about this being one of his nicest perks, actively trying to keep his childish side alive and sharing it with others.
Okay, but childish can have negative meanings too, right? Like being immature.
He acknowledges that straight away. You know, being unconstructive in arguments, maybe impulsive in bad ways. That's not what he means.
So what's the positive side he's focusing on?
He sees it as essential for staying healthy, mentally and emotionally, for staying engaged with life, avoiding getting kind of stagnant and, well, boring.
And what specific kid traits does he highlight?
That constant questioning the why phase that kids go through, and their drive to just discover their abilities, to test their limits without preconceived notions.
That lack of self-consciousness, maybe.
Yeah, partly. He contrasts it with adults. While we have our own skills, he thinks we often put ourselves in these little boxes of what we think we can and cannot do. We limit ourselves based on past experiences or societal expectations.
And he thinks that's wrong.
Pretty much, yeah. He thinks we should try to emulate that childhood fearlessness and trying new things, even if we look silly or aren't good at them initially.
What stops us, do you think? Or what does he say stops us?
A lot of it is that adult fear of not fitting in, the pressure to conform, to seem competent all the time. That tends to stifle the curiosity. He even observes this in younger generations sometimes, a rush to act like adults, maybe driven by social media's idealized images, and potentially missing out on nurturing their unique, maybe quirky selves.
Does he have an example of positive childishness?
He mentions the runner-up from Italy's Sanremo Music Festival who went to Eurovision. Chip saw their unconventional style and a song about it being okay not to be tough all the time as embodying this positive, authentic, childish behavior, breaking the mold.
Interesting connection. Any personal examples from him?
He talks about getting genuine goosebumps watching a revamped cartoon from his childhood.
Okay.
And he questions himself, like, why should he feel the need to repress that positive emotion just because the source is from his past or considered for kids? It's about allowing yourself to feel what you feel.
So being more accepting of our own feelings and embracing experimentation?
Exactly. He thinks it leads to a less boring life, less pressure.
Yeah.
He even connects it back to doing his podcast, acknowledging some might see it as not acceptable or silly for an adult.
But his internal motivation wins out.
Right. He does it because he wants to, without worrying too much about external judgment. That links back again, doesn't it?
It really does. So the message is basically, embrace your inner kid, have more fun, be more curious.
Pretty much. Don't let adult seriousness stamp out that vital spark of playfulness and exploration for a more enjoyable life.
I like that. Okay, one more episode to unpack, number 55, and this one's another direct title. You are all liars.
Ha! Yes, quite the accusation to start with, but again, he immediately clarifies.
He's not talking about lying to other people necessarily.
No, not primarily. He means the lies we constantly tell ourselves. Self-deception.
Ah, okay. That's probably more universal. What sparked this one?
It was very specific. He finally managed to go to the gym in the morning after months, maybe longer, of putting it off.
A classic struggle.
Totally. He'd even apparently asked ChatGPT for the pros and cons of morning versus evening workouts, trying to rationalize.
Oh, the analysis paralysis creeping back in.
Maybe. But he still kept hitting snooze, telling himself the classic lie, oh, I'm just so tired I need more sleep.
We've all been there.
Absolutely. He realized he was lying to himself. It wasn't really about needing more sleep or that evening workouts were inherently better. The real key, he knew, was just consistency whenever he did it.
So why do we do that? Why lie to ourselves?
Chip suggests our brains are kind of wired to resist change, to conserve energy. Sticking with the known, the comfortable routine is just easier. So the brain manufactures these convenient little lies.
Excuses, basically.
Yeah, self-serving excuses to avoid effort or discomfort.
But he argues we can push past them.
Definitely. He points out that countless people show that pushing through that initial resistance, as long as it's done healthily, of course, almost always leads to positive results, to growth.
Does he share another personal story here?
He does, a really good one, participating in a 5K charity run.
Okay.
Despite apparently hating running and having done zero training for it.
Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds potentially painful.
Probably was. He said early on in the run, his mind was just screaming at him to stop, giving him all the reasons you're unfit, this hurts, just walk.
The lies.
The lies. But he consciously identified them as just that mental noise and pushed through. And he finished the run.
And that taught him something.
A big lesson. He realized that real improvement, real progress, often happens right in that zone of discomfort, where your mind wants to quit, but physically, your body actually can do a bit more.
Get that space just beyond the comfort zone.
Exactly. Staying comfortably within the zone feels safe, but it doesn't lead to growth. Those lies we tell ourselves are often the gatekeepers keeping us trapped in the comfort zone.
So the core message is, stop lying to yourself.
Pretty much. Be honest about the excuses you make and try, just try, to do that little bit more than what feels comfortable or easy. Because chances are you're more capable than your brain's lazy, energy-conserving lies are telling you.
Wow. Okay, so that covers the 5 episodes. Quite a journey.
It really is. From questioning specialness to how algorithms shape passion, the curse of too much knowledge, the joy of being childlike, and finally confronting our own self-deception.
And, listening back now, there are so many threads connecting them all.
Absolutely. Authenticity keeps coming up, right?
Right.
Being true to yourself versus chasing external labels or validation.
Yeah, and the importance of the process, the journey, not just the end result, whether it's learning a skill, developing passion, or even just getting through a tough run.
And that internal drive, believing in what you're doing for its own sake.
It's a really cohesive set of thoughts when you look at it like that. Each one offers a different lens, a different angle to look at how we live, how we think.
Definitely. We really hope this summary, this deep dive, has given you some food for thought.
Yeah, maybe spark some connections to your own experiences. And like we said, if any specific idea really resonated, you can always go back and listen to Chip's original full episodes. But for now, thank you so much for joining us, for lending us your ears for this exploration. We really appreciate your time.
We certainly do.
And maybe, just as a final thought to take away, thinking about that last episode on self-deception, is there one small, comfortable lie you tell yourself regularly? Something that keeps you from maybe pushing just a tiny bit further? Could be about anything: exercise, learning, creativity, even just trying something new.
Just something to ponder. What might happen if you decided not to believe that lie just for one day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a little nudge to think about until we talk again. Thanks for listening.